Gateway Golf Course here in Romulus, Michigan. And did you know that 80% of the golfers never get formal instruction? So what we do at the Golf Academy here, we offer a free assessment of your golf swing, and then we sit down with you and write out a clear plan to meet your goals. We look forward to hearing from you soon. How is everybody doing? I want to say Happy New Year to everybody. 2021 is here, and we are really excited to get 2021 started off right. And you may say, what do you mean by starting it off right? You know, let's start off with the right mindset. You know, it's a new year. Have some fresh thoughts, have some fresh ideas. You know, hopefully that you were able to, over the holiday weekend, enjoy your family, your friends. I know, you know, they say no large gatherings and things like that, but you know, even if you did it by Zoom or if you talk to them on the phone, I just pray that, you know, you and your family are healthy and well. I do want to mention just a couple of things, say from the golf world. I don't know if you guys had an opportunity to watch Tiger Woods and his son play in the PCS father, son or daughter golf tournament. It was absolutely wonderful. His son Charlie is coming along fine. You can see that. Very competitive, which I don't expect anything less than that from his son. But we also want to say, to give our condolences out to the Napoleon family, for Sheriff Benny Napoleon passed away from COVID-19. He was a very avid golfer. Matter of fact, him and his brother are both avid golfers. And I was fortunate enough that I not only played a lot of golf with him, I taught him as well, and very avid golfer, and really just an all-around good guy. Like I said, we send the condolences out to the family. But the one thing that I'm going to say that a few days before the new year that I started thinking about, you know, what am I going to do new and fresh for 2021? Okay, so I said what I'm going to do is, you know, and I've been doing this for quite some time. There's 4 levels to this, okay? And I don't know what level you're at, but I'm at the level of being fully committed to what I do. Okay, I really want you to think about that. Whatever your passion is, whatever you are really, really good at, the question I want you to ask yourself is, are you fully committed to doing what you want to do, or what you aspire to do, or what you see yourself doing, or are you just treating this like a side hustle? Okay, so I'm just going to break this down for you, and there's 4 levels to it. There's a side hustle. You could be interested in something, you could be committed to something, or you can be fully committed to what you do. Now, like I said, those are 4 different levels, okay? And I just want to help you get through each level, okay? A lot of times when people start to do something, it starts off as a side hustle. Okay, say you have a full-time job and you're working that job, but then also, while you're working that job, you have a side hustle. You may have did like I did. You know, I had a full-time job, but I also taught, you know, give golf lessons on the side. You know, I did maybe 5 to 7 lessons a week. You know, not a lot, but I was really just getting my feet wet into the business, okay? You may be somebody that do T-shirts or hats or some other little side hustle. You may do T-shirts, you know, for family reunions or baseball teams or something like that. It may start off as a side hustle. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But the higher you go up, okay, it goes from a side hustle that you're really interested in it. Okay, so what do I mean by you're really interested in it? You know, you may go and buy, say you're making t-shirts or something. You may go buy a machine and do the screen, you know, print screen and other things like that, okay? You know, you kind of took it a little step further than just a side hustle. You start buying equipment to start doing what you want to do, okay? That's fine and good too. Okay, so you buy some equipment, you get some business cards, you start advertising a little bit on Facebook, and you start making money. Okay, so you go from just being a side hustle to being more interested in it. Okay, so now you're thinking in your mind like, hey, you know what? I would really like to do this for a living. Okay, so you start preparing yourself financially to leave the job that you have, okay? So now we went from a side hustle to being interested to being committed, okay? Now, when we get to that step of being committed, sometimes people will get to that stage of thinking that they want to be committed, and they start thinking, well, man, if I leave my full-time job, that means I'm leaving a guaranteed paycheck. Well, what I mean by guarantee is that you know you're going to get paid every week, okay? So in my case, I was in the auto industry, okay? So I can pretty much rely on me getting paid every week, okay? I work 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours. I can almost say I'm going to make this every week, every 2 weeks, every month. You get up into management, now you're getting paid every month. So now, when people are thinking about getting to the committed phase of this, okay, now it starts to get real. You say, well, what do you mean it starts to get real? Because, you know, if you're in a relationship, if you're married, that your wife, or if it's flipped around the other way, your husband may say, okay, listen, you know, your job has the benefits, your job has the health care, your job has the 401k, your job has this, this, and this to help the family out, you know. That's when people start to get nervous, okay? You know, where am I going to get health benefits from? You know, where am I going to get my 401k? I am a witness to tell you this right here. When I got to that phase right there, and people start talking to me and saying, hey, Willie, you know, you're crazy to leave this job. You're crazy to leave these benefits. But I'm here to tell you something, okay? You can get your own health care. You can have your own 401k. You can do your own investing with your retirement. It's the reason a lot of people look at that and they pause at that is because you don't know how to go about it. I'm here to tell you, you can do everything that what the company is offering, you can do that on your own, okay? The only thing you have to do, okay, and I'm going to just help you get started on that. This is the phase where people get really kind of antsy. They, oh my God, I can't, you know, what am I going to do about this, about that? Okay, you know what? We're just going to stop the nonsense right there. Okay? I'm going to help you settle and deal with that issue right now. All you have to do, the first step is this right here. Pick up your phone. Google health care. Google, hey, listen, you know what? I'm going to learn how to invest my money now. Okay, if you're at a company that matched your funds in your 401k up to a certain point, okay, you can roll that 401k over into another investment part as you're walking out the door. Okay, don't get afraid. Don't get nervous at this point right here. Okay, these are common questions that people ask me all the time. Well, how did you handle this? Well, I'm going to tell you what I did. I picked up the phone. I didn't know anybody personally that I could call and say, hey, you know, how do I do this? How do I do that? So I started doing it on my own. This is all part of your planning to leave, okay, the job that you have. But there's some criteria or things that you have to put into place before you leave your job. When you're starting off at your side hustle, then you start to get really interested in it. The benchmark of what I used when I said it was time for me to go is when I start doubling my income from where I was at. I'm going to say that to you again. You may say, hey, how do I really know that I can step out? When I start to double my income. Okay, so I'm talking about basing it off of a 40-hour check is what I was making an hour. If I can double that, okay, that's when I made my decision to leave. I mean, my situation is a little different because when I was thinking about leaving, what I did not know is that we're going to be offered buyouts. So the buyout for me was the last thing that when that happened, that says it's time for me to leave now. Okay? I had a family member was really upset with me because their family member helped me get the job. I stayed there for 15 years, but my point being is that they had that old school mentality of if you give us, because this is how the plant worked, if you give us 30 years, we'll take care of you for the rest of your life. But what happened is when I got hired in, okay, they cut that off. Okay, so you had to start doing your own investing. You would have got your health care, but you wouldn't have got your pension. Okay, so that was another strike for me to leave. I'm like, well, if I'm going to work for you for 30 years, you know, so I had a conversation with this family member, and I said to them, listen, there's more than one way to go out here and make the same amount of money or more, not be stuck in a building, dealing with all kinds of health issues, you know, because I worked in a paint shop, so I'm dealing with all kinds of fumes, all kinds of these chemicals that surround me all the time, health-wise. I said, you know what, there has to be a better way where I can still go out and provide for my family, okay, and still enjoy life. Well, I found what I'm good at, okay, what I'm passionate at. So when I got to that point, that's when I said, it's time for me to go, okay? I don't want you to get afraid or get scared because there's a lot of people that I know. Now, if you like working in a factory and that's what you want to do then by all means, go ahead and do that, okay? I'm not knocking that, but for me, I knew I was not going to stay there for 30 years, okay? If I can work 10, 12, 14 hours a day for somebody else, I can work 10, 12, 14, 16 hours for myself. That's my mentality. So I went from being committed to being fully committed. Okay? So when I'm dealing with other people in the golf world, I take this criteria right here, and when I'm talking to them and they tell them that, well, I want to do what you want to do, I can tell what phase they're in. Okay? It's easy for me to talk to another instructor and just listen to them. This right here, this is almost a blueprint right here. It's almost a blueprint, you know what I'm saying? I would probably have to do another show to break it down when you get from the interested to the committed phase, the different things that I did, but I'm giving you an overview right now, right? Don't get scared when it's time for the committed phase, okay? Because if you're in a relationship, she may say to you these questions that I mentioned, but you have to go and do your own research. You have to go, because everybody's situation is different now, okay? And just because the pandemic, to me, if you're going to make a move to do something, like I said, if you've done your due diligence, if you have written out a plan, this is the time to do it. I know people are going to say, man, we all of these people out of work, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I'm going to tell you something, okay? If you do some history on, there's different pastors that I know that started a church. I mean, at times that they said that it was not the right time to start a church. I know people that started lawn services and they said it was not the right time to do it. Well, you know, grass is always going to grow. It doesn't matter if it's a pandemic or not. Grass is going to grow. Okay? The seasons are going to change. So they went from cutting grass to plowing snow to doing all kinds of outside stuff. The seasons are still going to keep going. Okay? You have to, just like I said, have a good plan. Now, your plan doesn't have to be 100% solid, because sometimes what happens, things change as you start to get into it. You'll find out new things as you're getting into something, and that's okay. Okay? But what I'm saying to you is that you're not going to have 100% of the answers, because people want absolutes. Okay? There are no absolutes. What I want you to do is absolutely be fully committed and be in a position to adjust as things adjust. Okay? Just don't be stuck on this area and say, this is the way it's going to happen. No. Because what I know from my experience, you couldn't have told me the things that have happened to me, that this is how it's going to happen. I mean, I never would have thought about it would happen the way it did happen. Okay? And I'm going to say that one of the number one things is be fully committed and trust. And this is a key now. Trust your gut instinct. Okay? Now, that's for people that are not giving their life to Christ. Trust your gut instinct. Okay? If I'm talking to my Christian family, trust the Holy Ghost when he tells you to do something. Okay? Just fully, it has never let me down yet. Okay? And always remember that every person is not your customer, no matter what you do now. Okay, now what industry that you're in and what you're doing, and all money ain't good money. All money ain't good money now. Okay, so I want you to really, like I said, make a plan. Okay, you got to start off with a plan. Okay, write your things out. You're not going to find out everything. I mean, if you talk to anyone that have started their own business, that have got into whatever they're doing, they're going to say, hey, I never thought about that. Okay, or I never thought about this right here. Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, don't really, don't trip out on that part. Okay, but you need a basic plan. So look at other businesses that are like yours, similar to yours, whether it's a lawn service or people tell me, well, a while ago, I wanted to open up a gas station, okay? So what I start doing is I just start talking to people about opening up a gas station, okay? Now, I know the more locations you have, the more the possibility to, to make more money. Okay, I get that part, right? But my question is that every one line that kept going through everything that everybody kept telling me is that it's so hard you don't want to get into it. Now, just using some common sense, okay? If the business is so hard, why are you in it? Think about that for just a minute, okay? If I'm just, casual conversation, I'm really not showing all my cards or what I want to do, but you'll run into some people that kind of pick up on your vibe, pick up on your vibration. Every time this guy comes in here, he always asks me about different things about the gas station, the location, and I know they really don't make the money off the gas. You make more of the money off the things that they're buying in the gas station. Okay, I got that. So that's why you see like Subways and Tim Hortons, different other businesses within the business. Okay, so that makes sense to me. But my question to every time I speak to somebody is, no matter what industry it is, whether it's a gas station, a golf course, or anything, right? They always say, this business is tough. My response is, why are you in it? I've never understood it. I don't know if they're trying to discourage me from doing it, or they're not as confident in what they're doing, or I don't know. Okay, but I will say this right here, is that every business is tough. Every business has its season, okay? So obviously in golf here in Michigan, we have our season. Generally, it's about, say, somewhere in March, maybe like mid-March, the end of March, kind of sort of, we got some good days. The weather's a little unstable, so say from March to about maybe like the middle of April, kind of. Okay, then the weather kind of like, kind of settles down a little bit. So say from April all the way until maybe say October is generally the golf season. Okay, so we're trying to make as much money as we can between April and October. Now, if we have good weather going into the fall, which sometimes we do, that, like this year, it extended until November. Okay, so, but of course, 2020 with the corona, it was a little different. Okay, but to maybe about mid-November. Okay, and that was our season. Well, I said to myself that I'm going to take what I do in that period of time, and then we're going to get into the wintertime. People ask, well, what do you do? I'll go indoors. Okay, but because of the corona, what's going on right now here in Michigan, the governor has it as a situation where, you can't have so many people in the building and things like that. So I called an audible. Okay, I changed my location from where I was at the golf course to another place that's closed in on 3 sides. It's heated, and we can hit outdoors. Okay, so I've called that, that little bit of change, and that's what I mean by in your business and when you're doing your business, as you're going along, you're going to have to make adjustments. Okay, I don't want to say the word change because change is kind of scary to a lot of people. Make adjustments. Okay, and if you remember back in, what was it, 08 or 07 or 08, when they had the crash, you notice, and I know you guys are seeing the picture right here, that building right there, the Renaissance building right there, well, General Motors headquarters is in there, right? And I remember when older people were saying, General Motors will never file bankruptcy. Chrysler will never file bankruptcy. Well, the reason why they ended up filing bankruptcy is because they didn't make adjustments. Okay? They thought that this is how it's done and this is just the way it's going to be. Well, what happened was all these companies from Asia came over here, the Hondas and the Hyundais and these different car companies came over here to America, and their products were superior or more technologically advanced than the General Motors and the Chryslers and the Fords, and they had to rethink what they were doing. Now, the best company that did that was Ford Motor Company. Ford Motor Company called an audible. Okay? They called an audible, and they said, listen, we're going to do things different. So the other 2 car companies took money from the government. Ford didn't do it. So basically what they did was they basically pretty much kind of sold a lot of their assets. And once again, see, I'm saying all that to say this. Yes, every business is tough. Okay? But if you, like I said, for my non-Christians, listen to your instincts. For my Christians, listen to the Holy Spirit and make those adjustments. Okay? And for Christians, you're going to be told stuff before it actually happens if you're listening. Okay? So I'm going to say in my business, I'm listening to the adjustments. I'm listening to the things to do that other instructors are not doing. Okay? So I'm going to tell you that right there because you have to be very, very conscious of what's going on around you. Okay? Use your common sense. Okay? Everybody has some natural abilities. Okay? Listen. That still voice, I want you to listen to it now because it's going to guide you through a lot of things when things are going on, okay? I couldn't have predict what happened this year and how I went through this year, Okay? It's absolutely blew my mind. Okay, so like I said, I want you to get to the committed phase. And when you get to the committed phase, okay, your circle of people are going to get smaller. It seems like the higher I go up, the smaller my circle is. Because everybody that you're going to come across that you talk to about things are going to have your best interest at heart. Okay? They're not going to have your best interest at heart. Okay? So you have to really pay attention to who's around you. You have to really pay attention to the information that's coming into you. You're going to have a lot of people that are going to be jealous of what you're doing. Okay? I cannot tell you how many people that I come across at the golf course that makes this statement right here. You are living the life. You work at a golf course, man? Some people come there and they want to make the commitment, but they hesitate. Okay? They want to jump out there and do it, but they start thinking about the money. They start thinking about their mortgage. They start thinking about, I'm not saying don't think about that, but if you plan that out, you can walk that out. Okay? You have to plan it. You can't just jump up and say, don't send me no emails saying, hey, I quit my job. No, I don't want to get no emails like that. What I want to get emails on is that, hey, I followed what you said. I took it step by step by step. Now, what happens sometimes is you can skip over a step. Okay? I don't advise it. It's just like when I teach my students, okay? There are 6 fundamentals to golf. If I start to give you lessons, and say you take 2 or 3 lessons and then you go out and play, okay? And then you start having problems, and then you call me and say, hey, coach, I'm having problems with this, or I'm having problems with that. The first thing I'm going to say to you is, did you follow the steps that I gave you? You can't go from step 1 to step 5. You can't go from 2 to 6. Everything is working hand in hand, okay? And if you're not following the steps, and we're talking about what's happening when you're hitting the golf ball, you're going to realize, man, I did skip step 3. I did skip step 6. Okay? I could fix most things over the phone by asking you that question. It's just like this right here. You need to follow the steps. Okay? I'm going to do another episode on the steps and break it down, because there's usually between 5 to 15 steps in between each step. Okay? It's a general thing that I do, but I mean, I can get you on the road to, get into where you want to go. Okay? For me, it took me 2.5 years to get to the point where I was ready to walk away from my job. It took me 2.5 years. Okay? So this is not no quick, fast. It's going to happen like this. Even if I would have, let's just use this as an example, okay? If I would have came across, say, a really large lump sum of money, okay, I still would have followed the steps, because just because you have the money, you still have to follow the process. The money is going to help it, but you still have to follow the process, okay? There's a process to everything, okay? And when you make your mind up to do it, I need you to go through the steps till you get to the point where you're fully committed to what you're doing. Because there's one thing I'm going to tell you. Your customers will sense it if you're not. If you are not fully committed, your customers are going to know. Okay? So like I said, maybe next week I'll break down which each step is, but I'm giving you something to think about for 2020, okay? I'm giving you, I just want to give you a different thought and a mindset going into 2021. But going forward on the show, you're going to start to have different guests on. They're going to talk about different aspects on how you can help yourself go through the pandemic to keep you healthy and strong through this, to break down the chances of you getting this by following these different health things and, what you can go through and everything like that. So what I'm going to say to you is that, I'm just thankful that you guys are still watching and here. I just thank everyone for supporting the show, rather you're contacting me or not, because I see you watching, okay? I see you're paying attention, okay? So, 2021 is going to be a big year, okay? I just want you guys to be healthy. I want you to be strong, and I want you to take care of yourself. So this is Willie Pewitt on Conversations on the Fairway, and we'll see you next week. DetroitGolfLessons.com.